Joanna.
Hello, Alex. Pleasure to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, I believe that today we will have a little different setup. So, normally I'm inviting amazing people and I'm asking questions, and today is the opposite. So, there is an amazing person that is going to talk to me, but Alex is going to ask questions, and I will try to provide as best answers as possible. So, today's topic is action learning. And dear viewers, our dear audience, the context is that Alex is a great expert when it comes to agile, when it comes to Scrum, when it comes to helping teams, companies become better places to work, to better and more effectively manage challenges. And in general, I've heard that recently he's working with some customers, and the topic similar to action learning popped up naturally. So this is the reason, this is the context why we are meeting today, and I'm really happy to help Alex understand what action learning is, what are the benefits, and I hope that you will also enjoy our conversation. So, Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joanna, for introducing me and also for inviting me and taking your time to answer my question about actual learning. I saw your post on LinkedIn and then I thought, wow, that sounds interesting, but I never heard of this. So, as you know, now I got in contact with you and now we are here to answer all my questions, I think.
All questions. Oh my God.
Let's let's see what
Let's
happens.
see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, um, exactly. And the context, what you introduced before, what I have. So I'm working with a client introducing Kanban initiatives. And I thought, okay, let's do it a little bit different, not do the training thing and then we start coaching or after that training. So having more micro learning style, more just in time approach.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, that sounds like actual action learning.
Hmm.
So let's see if what I think is similar what an action learning really is. So, Joanna, what is action learning?
So, yeah, very good question to start with. So, action learning is such an approach where a group of people, not so big, I would say four, five, up to eight, nine people. So, pretty similar when we think about Scrum teams, right? So this group of people, they work together on a problem. What kind of problem? Complex problem, a problem that is real and is urgent in the sense that we need to act. We cannot postpone actions when it comes to that problem for a long time, because there will be some consequences. And in that process, this group of people collaborates. On one hand, they are looking for solutions, so breakthrough solutions for that real problem. And at the same time, they are learning, they are developing their leadership, powerful skills. So, what I've seen so far is that it's actually learning on different levels combined with action related to current important problems happening for individual person, for the team, or maybe it is a company problem that
Uh,
people want to solve.
and how then this works actually? So I thought, so okay, you said they are facing a complex problem,
Hmm.
so they need to experiment, nah? Then
Hmm.
somehow, at least implicit, they need to learn.
Hmm.
is this then something in the beginning they say, okay, we want to learn this, let's now use action learning?
Mhm.
Or is this some kind of ongoing process that you integrate action learning in your work all the
Mhm.
time? Maybe.
I think the second explanation is better, because action learning can become a certain process that lasts weeks, months typically, and during that process, those experimentations will happen between your action learning sessions.
Uh-huh.
So during a session, we try to understand what is our real problem. And this is something that I believe we tend to forget, that we believe we understood the problem, our problem of our colleague, problem of our team. But in fact, this conversation, what is the real problem, is essential. And action learning is really focused during those sessions. Let's explore that and let's make sure that we truly understand the problem. I believe one of the really wise people in this world, somehow I'm connecting with that with Einstein, but I'm not 100% sure, said that if he has 1 hour to solve a very important problem, the problem that can, change his life or stop, the catastrophical situation,
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
spend a majority of this time on trying to understand the problem and last minutes on actual acting on it, right? And this is a pretty nice connection with action learning. Let's use our session as
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to explore that. Let's choose actions, and then what happens between that session and potential future one, because as I told you, it might be some kind of a program
Yeah.
learning journey. We will conduct experiments, so those actions actually will formulate ideas for experimentations for this team. And next session can start with, what have we learned from those experiments? How did it affect our current understanding of the problem? And
Yeah.
so on. So it's a
Yeah.
process.
Okay. So before the session, in of most cases, you not even know what you will learn at the end of the session. Or
Exactly.
okay,
Exactly.
then this is very different to a training
It is.
situation. Huh?
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Although, maybe I should emphasize that there is a special person in that process. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
coach of action learning. Typically, we call that person learning coach, you know, and this coach can help the team to become better in learning. So it's like meta level of that whole process. So we solve the problem, we develop our skills, and there is a coach. The coach that has a tool called intervention. So this coach can intervene anytime he or she believes it's an opportunity to learn something. And the coach is using questions, is proposing a tool and asking questions, but it's not giving the answers. So it's not a trainer or a teacher in that traditional sense. However, if you think about it deeper, well, it might be great idea to conduct action learning session and then uncover topics, areas about which we want to learn more. So we are looking for expert or source of knowledge. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now we will try to understand some details of the Kanban method so
Yeah.
that it will help us better conduct experiments.
Okay. Yeah. So you help them as a coach to investigate the problem
Mhm.
and find out what they can learn from this problem
Yes,
and potentially solve this problem then in the last 1 to 5 minutes or then later after the session.
I'm not sure if solve is the right wording because the session
Mm.
will last like, I don't know, it can be 90 minutes. I conducted this kind of session. It can last 2 hours. So in that session, in many cases, in the end, we are able to choose actions. So we have a hypothesis what we
Yeah.
should do after that session to solve the problem. But it's just a hypothesis, right? So we do not know. We plan experimentation, but this is not happening in the session, it's happening after. We hold ourselves accountable for acting and trying to resolve the problem, or at least making one step closer towards the resolution.
In one sentence, what would you say? What do we learn in such a session then?
We learn how to become better leaders and how to make great interactions focused on solving real problems. And now I have again connection with agility. Agile manifesto, individuals and interactions.
Hmm.
Action learning can help us improve our interactions, create more meaningful interactions. Action learning is a certain process where we learn to listen and we learn to ask questions. So you are not allowed to have a long monologue during that process. This process has very little rules and not many elements. However, it's the job of action learning coach to make sure that we are following them. And this frame that is created by action
Hmm.
learning is promoting collaboration, is promoting active listening, is promoting involving others. I had a pretty interesting story. So when we were finishing professional agile leadership class, that was in the immersion mode. So it was longer learning process. It lasted like
Yeah.
8 weeks, so pretty long. So we ended up with an action learning session, and it was for me, that was my hypothesis that we can see something else. So maybe participants' behavior can change during that session. And it happened. It happened. I was amazed that out of the sudden, one of the participants became really a leader for that discussion, and his involvement was amazing. He used to be great participant, but now I saw a leader in him, true leader that is making great, meaningful conversations focused on solving this problem under discussion.
So then this person asked this kind of powerful question that the coach normally asks, or
Yes, because in action learning, my role, my job as a coach is to help facilitate that process, which means if someone is asking wonderful questions, I don't have to
let go.
intervene, right? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is what we want to see. So if we think about action learning as something that we can offer to companies, my job is not to be there with them like for long months. My job is to show them perspective, check with them, hey,
Yeah.
does it work for you or not? And if it
Yeah.
works, I'm happy to teach people how to use at least those basic principles, rules, and I can leave after some time the company because I help them create better leaders, right? So it's actually a perfect way how to create great leaders and how to help existing leaders become even better ones.
Got it. So when you talked about we, you mean the coach, then you, for example, and the coachees, and the coachee can also step then into your feet as a coach, and it is something that you want to achieve also, no? That the group can self-organize and can use the active learning process by their own, yeah.
Exactly. So in ideal case, after some months, you leave the company and they have those skills. So people who
Mm-hmm.
participated in your sessions, people
Yeah,
that were after some time trying to become a coach in this group, you leave them with those skills. And now they can at least do simple action learning sessions on their own. Yeah,
interesting. And then a lot of this time in these sessions as a coach, you actively do nothing, so you observe what's happening,
exactly.
and then you have the trump, you can intervene.
Exactly.
What would be a situation that you intervene in this session?
So, in general, any potential learning situation is an opportunity for intervene. But as you probably know, as expert, you sometimes actively wait and you have to calculate, is it the right moment or should I let them
Yeah,
ask one more question, right?
yeah.
Or one more reactions. So this is from coach point of view, in my experience, this is really high cognitive effort because I'm not just sitting there, right?
Yeah, this is a
It's
tricky thing,
yeah,
huh? Yeah,
yes, exactly. It's
yeah.
really tricky thing. So, for instance, when you feel that people are stuck and they are unable, they feel like they are unable to take next move, you can stop the group and ask one question. Or what happened to me, I stopped a group for a second and I presented them a certain model. A lot of those models, I believe, we know them from agile or in general from psychology, from coaching. And I ask again follow-up questions. So, okay, let me show you something. This is a simple model. This is what this model presents. Based on our discussions, where do you believe are we now focused on? So imagine a model of problem solving. We
Hmm.
have those, right? Like, for instance, 6 steps or 5 steps. You can show this model and briefly explain, where do you believe are we in this circle? What does it mean for us? How does it affect our work? What is the best thing that we can do next? So they talk, they collaborate, and then you ask, okay, so let's move forward. Who has the next question?
Uh, uh, mhm. And then you also take care that in the end, until the end of the session, you created some learning. So,
Exactly. Exactly. So there is a frame. There is a frame for that, and that's another job for action learning coach to introduce frame and to make sure that this frame is respected and all those learning loops happen. Another important point, when to intervene, time boxing, hello Scrum, is super
yeah,
important because we can, have an amazing discussion, but it's not only learning. We can learn a lot based on a good discussion, but it's also action. So the coach can remind about time, and based on how this process look like, can decide to intervene to show this group uh, what we can do, what are your options. So they are uncovering that. You are not coming with solutions, of course, especially because, well, sometimes you intervene because you have a certain belief based on what you see, but the group may briefly discuss, this is an amazing discussion, right? Let's continue that. Let's move forward. I would love to hear more from Alex, what he has started. And then say, okay, right? You might be wrong, right? So we are not teachers, we are not giving the answers, we are checking with the group how are things going. Especially it is important when we feel there is an opportunity for learning.
so it sounds like it's a good idea when you also know how to facilitate such a group session. So the stance of the facilitator sounds like being important also here for the
Yes,
coach.
yes, I believe action learning coach is a pretty good facilitator of that process. Mhm.
And you are certified now, isn't it? As such a action learning coach.
Sorry, could you please repeat the question?
You are certified action learning coach, isn't it?
Ah, so you're asking about certification. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, indeed, indeed, I
yeah,
am. I
yeah.
am. Mhm.
So how you came to this certificate and what's the benefit of this certificate for you now?
I'm smiling because I love questions about certification. Maybe that's why my brain decided, not to
Not to hear this
accept, not to, I
question.
haven't
Yeah,
heard that question.
yeah,
Could you repeat?
yeah.
Oh my God. So maybe let's start from the second question. I don't have a strong feeling that certification was so important to me, but what
Yeah.
truly mattered for me was actually understanding action learning, practicing it, and being able to start being independent action learning coach. So it all started for me. The very beginning was like a few years ago, but I'm not sure whether we are speaking about 5 years or more. So I don't know how, but I virtually read, I virtually met um, our Polish trainer, so our master learning coach, master of that area. So his name is Tomek Janiak, and I was super interested in the things that he was talking about, because it was definitely not a training, nor any traditional approach to helping people become a great team. During that time, I was not aware of that approach, that method. But I started, to read sometimes when he posted something, or I participated in some of his webinars. And somehow I have put on my wish list, give it a try, invest your time, money, effort, focus in that, because maybe one day it will help you become a better professional. So that was something that I put relatively quickly on my shelf, and I was waiting. I was waiting for the right moment. And finally, last year, I decided that's it. This is the moment. I want to give it a try. So my assumption was I'm going to learn something. I'm not 100% sure that will be something useful, but I felt I have to give it a try. I have to. I want to. Worst case scenario, maybe I will just have some, broaden perspective on certain things. So I signed in. I registered myself for 2 trainings, because if you want to become certified, you have to attend 2 trainings. Let's say some basic one and then more advanced one. So I participated in the online training conducted by Tomek, and during that you learn a lot, not only about theory, principles, tools, ideas, but you practice. You practice being action learning coach, so conducting sessions, and
Mhm.
you practice being a member of action learning group. So you practice both perspectives during the same process, and this is all guided by Tomek, by this master coach. So he's helping you when you are stuck. He's helping you to learn as much as possible. He helps you gain confidence that you can do it. Because trust me, my first session was for me a huge, enormous stress. Although I have years of experience as a trainer, scrum master, coach, consultant, I was still super stressed. Something new. People are watching me. There is a real problem We were working on our real problems. So I felt responsibility. If I conduct it really badly, someone will not get value out of that. So, experience was tough, but at the same time, I believe it was an amazing introduction. And after that, you can, well, you are not forced, of course, but you can do your certification projects. It means you have to find customers, you have to find maybe friends, right? Or the company that you are currently working with. You have to conduct action learning sessions. You have to share what you have learned, right? So you write a
Hmm.
certain learning story, about this experience, and you have to do some organizational and e-learning additional stuff. And after that, this is sent for the review. um, if they believe that your project fulfills requirements and you have proven you are ready, then you are free to go. What I really appreciated about that process, and Tomek also emphasized that, it is expected that you see errors in your behaviors, and that's absolutely fine. He told us, do not try to focus on good things only. Pay attention to what you believe you have done right, but also pay a lot of attention to your potential improvements. So you have to do some kind of retrospective, self retrospective, on what you have learned and where are still areas for future improvements.
Sounds you're passionate about this and that you prefer learning than the certificates in the end.
Of course, of course. Which is
Yeah,
pretty funny, taking into account amount of different certificates that I possess. But yes.
yeah, that's good. Um, you said you work as a coach, as a consultant, as a trainer. Do you see now action learning as another tool in your pocket or something that you would like to focus on in your work?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I would love to at least include action learning, because I see that this is something that is still relatively new in the market, and I already experienced the power of action learning. So, for instance, what I do, I'm currently in APS class. Well, we are close to the end, in the immersion mode. It lasts 10 weeks, so it's a
Uh-huh.
lot. But we use traditional Scrum.org content. We map it into immersion mode, into really small sessions when it comes to content. So it's really long, as you can imagine, 10 times, and typically we need between 3 and 4 hours for one session. But this also gives me the opportunity to, if the group is willing to, and if it comes naturally during our discussions, during that collaboration period, I'm also offering at least one simple action learning session. And this is what we are going to do next week. So I feel like this is something that beautifully complement learnings, especially in the immersion mode. Because what is my personal problem with traditional 2 day classes, or classes that are day by day, many hours combined in a relatively short time box.
Hmm.
Um, I have limited feedback loop, right? I feel like if I'm unable to secure coaching gig after that, I'm not 100% sure how many things my participants will be able to change, right? I don't
Yeah.
want to conduct great training and then maybe one thing is changed, right? Well, I'm I'm a pretty narcissistic in that way that I want to see a lot of impact, right? This is what I really want to see. And action learning naturally, as a standalone process, creates opportunity to help make long-term impact, right? So my my idea about the future of learning is combining things. For instance, longer learning programs with action learning, proposing action learning as a alternative, something totally different. And I also believe that in general, action learning can help me offer something different to customers that are already fed up with trainings, because they say, okay, great, participants came back to the office super excited. Excitement lasted like a few weeks, and after that, almost everything is forgotten. With action learning, with longer programs, it's a completely different game if you take this opportunity and manage this learning and improvement process properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can better also manage the learning more just in time, or so you see on your road what you will learn, or what you need to learn also.
Exactly, exactly.
Would you see this as an alternative to traditional trainings?
Not as a replacement, because I still believe that a great teacher helps people uh, gain this new knowledge and help prepare you to use that, right? So I
Yeah.
believe that still some kind of teaching stance is valuable, but action learning brings brings a new perspective, a perspective that is consistent with this thinking. The team should be able to self-manage around the problem. The team has this intelligence, group intelligence, to work on the problem. In that way, action learning can help you support that process, help people become more creative and also respectful to each other, because as I told you, this frame is creating a lot of opportunities to invite others to ask about their opinions,
Yeah.
to effectively collaborate.
Nice. So we talked a lot about action learning, huh? I got a lot of valuable things. Can you summarize for us, please? What would you say are the benefits of action learning?
Uh-huh. So the benefits of action learning for me is about better interactions, respectful interactions, more effective collaboration, less meaningless meetings, more focus on moving forward and
Hmm.
focusing on the real problems. It's also a great opportunity to grow, to develop leadership skills, powerful skills. And in my experience, it also can help you create better collaboration, especially across the teams.
And focusing on the learning. So in all your benefits, learning the word learn to learn, I didn't hear. So what can we learn then? What would you say? What's the biggest benefit instead of collaboration and the communication and getting a better leader and better working together? So how can we learn better then with action learning?
Uh-huh. We can learn how to better ask right questions. That's the one thing. We can learn how to better prepare for problem solving, because there are some really interesting things happening in the sessions. We can learn and develop our personal skills. Like, for instance, I remember one of the team action learning team member saying that she wants to become more concise because she
Hmm.
knows she talks a lot. Okay, welcome to the team, right? So she talks a lot, and she used action learning for her personal development. So at the very beginning, she said, I want to develop being precise, so precise communication. And
Yeah.
she tried to pay attention during that session. So, of course, we have in the end this closing. We can talk about developing that skill. So the learning loop is closed. And I've seen people really making improvements, practicing what they want to develop during that session. And what I really enjoy is that you are responsible for your personal growth. So you choose which skill you want to develop. Maybe it's being concise,
Oh,
maybe it's active listening, maybe it's how to ask powerful questions, the questions that can change, the conversation, help people
yeah.
better focus. Maybe it's about, I don't know, analytical thinking, right? So you can choose what you want to do, and you take responsibility for your learning.
Sounds like, how I could say it, like an agnostic learning opportunity or something like this. Everyone can learn what they want to learn, and also we learn something in common.
Exactly, exactly. And in
So
the
when
end
we
of,
think,
yeah,
yeah, no, I thought when we think about lifelong learning or something like this, it sounds like an ideal tool then.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
cool.
In today's session, you choose analytical thinking. Maybe next time you want to still work on that. Maybe on the third session, you want to practice asking questions, and so on. That's your learning journey. You are invited as a team member to help work on the problem. Together, we will learn how, as a group, better solve complex problems, because we will have also reflections about that. But at the same time, you choose what you want to learn, and it's your own journey.
Nice. So how do I start my journey? So I'm excited now to try it out. What can I do? What do you recommend me?
Uh-huh.
And ask Joanna.
So if you are just interested about the topic, I would recommend the website of the organization that is taking care of certifying. They have their website. There are some resources free available there. So this is World Institute of Action Learning. That might be some starting point. Free resources for everyone. If you want to practice action learning, well, it might be a great idea to talk to action learning coach, because we are trained, we are prepared.
Yeah.
So if you want, we can try to conduct this kind of session. In fact, I already conducted some time ago a session for PSTs or PST candidates. We were working together in that session after hours. What else you can do? You can also try to find, excuse me, a coach that can teach others, so more advanced in that area. And you can also get certified if you want, in exactly the same way that I did.
So you don't recommend have a look at the website and then learning by doing, do it by myself or
Definitely, I believe it's a great starting point. But you know what? I will tell you honestly, it's very similar uh, to what we describe when we tell people read Scrum Guide and do some other things. So here you can have an impression that you understood it, but practicing the real action learning session actually was like
Yeah.
mind opener for me, you know.
Yeah.
So
I know what you're
that's the
talking
case.
about. Yeah. 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 After my first Scrum training, I also thought I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And then the disaster started on my first job.
Here you go. Here you go. That's
Yeah.
why I told you, great starting point to get inspired, because some of the concepts of action learning are, I would say, uniquely beautiful, and you can just take one thing. So ask questions, you know, listen to others, find a balance in the discussion, focus on problem, on good understanding of the problem. Amazing things, right? But trust me, after a few years of reading or listening to Tomek from time to time, when I participated in my first professional session, and Tomek was our teacher, our facilitator of that learning experience, when he conducted that session, I was like, oh, oh, so
Hmm.
this is action learning.
Hmm. Uh, Good. So I might better invite you than do it by myself when I start using it.
I would be happy to help, although I don't speak German very well. I
Oh,
may
that's no
I may
problem.
try.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Joanna. That was very helpful, and now have a much better idea what action learning is about. And it sounds even more interesting than before.
Hooray! So I did a great
Hey,
job.
yeah,
I did a great job. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy that you agreed to record our conversation, because we would have it anyway. However, I feel like it would be great to give something to the community, and that's why we will have this video available for everyone.
good. Is there something that you would like to share with us that we didn't mention before?
I'm thinking out loud. Yes, there is actually one thing. So after one of my sessions, one of the PSTs, so hey, people who know Scrum, told me that he did not realize how little, in many cases, we pay attention to whether we bring value when we speak. And he said that actually action learning bring more focus on bringing value in this process when needed.
Great. Good last words, I think.
And with that positive message, um, thank you, everyone. Hope to see you again one day. And I hope we just started an interesting learning journey for everyone.
Let's move on.
Bye.
Thank you, Joanna. Bye bye.